Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamani Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. Let us chant the first three mantras. ॐ ब्रह्मादेवानां प्रथमः सम्बभूव विश्वस्य कर्ता भुवनस्य गोप्ता स ब्रह्म विद्यां सर्वविद्याप्रतिष्ठाम् अथर्वाय ज्येष्ठपुत्राय प्राह अथर्वणीयां प्रवदेत ब्रह्मा अथर्वातां पुरोवाचाङ्गिरे ब्रह्मविद्यां स भारद्वाजाय सत्यवहाय प्राह भारद्वाजो अङ्गिरसे परावरां शौनको ह वै महाशालः अङ्गिरसं विदवदुपसन्नः पप्रच्छ कस्मिन्नु भगवो विज्ञाते सर्वमिदं विज्ञातं भवतीति. We had seen the first two mantras were praise of Brahma Vidya and the lineage of Brahma Vidya. The first indicator used in the mantra, mantra number 1 was Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. This knowledge is that which is substratum of all knowledge. And in second mantra, the word was used Paravaram, that which gives knowledge of macrocosm, microcosm, and the underlying substratum of both of these conditionings. That is this Brahma Vidya, which was taught first by Brahmaji to all later students. The student of Mundakopanishad is Shaunaka Maharshi. He is going to his teacher, Vidivat, with lot of reverence in the way that he should have gone. Having lived a very fulfilling life, accomplished several things as far as material world is concerned. That's why he gets the title of Mahashalah. One who had many schools, one who was very well accomplished in his life, which is just to show student of Vedanta or the desire to learn Vedanta need not always come from some kind of a situational pain. In Viveka Chudamani, the student goes and says, "My hair is on fire, Durvara Samsara Davagni Taptam." It can also come from a deep sense of inquiry. The question in Vedanta can come from deep sense of inquiry, where he has understood this world of plurality which is there. It cannot have many causes. There should be one cause for this whole world of plurality. Immediate cause might be many, but all of them should be emerging from one truth. Only then we can call it the truth. Only then we can call it as something which is absolute. So he's asking over here, kasminno bhago vijñate sarvamidam vijñatam bhavati iti. What is that knowing by which? What is that knowing which all of these things will become known to me? That is a question of Shaunaka Maharshi. Fourth also we had seen. We can just chant it together. Tasmai saho vacha dve vidye veditavye iti hasma yad brahma vido vadanti parachaiva paracha. To that Shaunaka Maharshi, Angira Rishi, he is telling that there are two types of knowledge which are worthy of being known. One is called as Para Vidya, second is called as Apara Vidya. Now, what is Para Vidya, what is Apara Vidya will be elaborated in the next two verses. Verse number 5 is going to elaborate what is covered in Apara Vidya first, and then briefly indicator of Para Vidya will be given. By now, I think all of us are familiar with these two terms. Apara Vidya means lower knowledge, which gives knowledge of the world. Para Vidya means higher knowledge. Now, the word higher and lower doesn't indicate too much. Just the word higher and lower. Higher means what? Lower means what? So that elaboration is given in 5th mantra. First, the Upanishad Rishi elaborates what is Apara Vidya. What we have to transcend, that is elaborated first. So let us see the 5th mantra. Tatra para Rugvedah Yajurvedah Samavedah Atharvavedah Siksha Kalpo Vyakarnam Niruktam Chanda Jyotisham iti Athapara Yaya Tat Aksharam Adhigamyate. Again, Tatra Para Rugvedo Yajurvedah Samavedo Atharvavedah Siksha Kalpo Vyakaranam Niruktam Chando Jyotishamiti Athapara Yaya Tad Aksharam Adhigamyate. What is Apara Vidya? Tatra, in these two knowledge that I just mentioned, which are worthy of being known, what is called as Apara Vidya? All four Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda. There'll be a question on this later. So how come you included all Vedas in Apara Vidya? But for now, let us just see the word meaning. Details will be discussed later. The four Vedas, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, the Shabda Rashi, the words or the mantras which are there, they are part of Apara Vidya. Siksha. Siksha means phonetics. Shiksha means phonetics. How to pronounce a word properly, that is called as Shiksha. We'll see each one in detail because this is one of the few places where we get to see the Apara Vidya and Vedangas which are there. But let us see the literal meaning first. Shiksha means phonetics. Kalpa means that which introduces a person to Vedic action. How to do a ritual, the details are given in Kalpa. Vyakarna means grammar. Nirukta means etymology. Vyakarna means grammar. Nirukta means etymology. Chanda means meter. And Jyotisham means astrology. He says all these 6 Vidyas are included in Apara Vidya. So our rishis, to help us appreciate this Apara Vidya, they gave us a Kalpana. Kalpana means another metaphor. They said Veda is like the body. Body is called as Angi. And Vedangas are the limbs of the body. Anga means a limb. So if limbs are strong, body is strong. Like that, Veda is the body, Angi, and all the 6 knowledge which are there, they are called as Anga of Vedas. That is why they're having another word, Vedanga. They are the limbs of the Vedas. Now, what is the first limb here? Shiksha. 4 Vedas, there is only one Veda, but divided into 4 parts. The Vedas are the body, and Vedangas are the limbs. So the first limb is Shiksha. So which part of the body is Shiksha? They say Shiksha is the nose. If Veda was the Veda Purusha, the nose of that Veda Purusha is Shiksha. What does Shiksha do? Shiksha helps in pronouncing the word correctly. Pronouncing the word correctly, by which life can be put into Veda mantras. Just like breathing is through the nose and that enlivens the body, right pronunciation of mantra enlivens Veda mantras. That is why it is called as nose of Veda Purusha. There are 2 categories in the pronunciation. Shabda Ucharanam means pronunciation. One is called as Akshara Shuddhi. When we pronounce a word, pronouncing the Alpa Prana, Mahaprana correctly. If you say Bhadram Karnebhihi or Bhadram Karnebhihi. Bhadram Karnebhihi. So that Bha is Mahaprana. Instead of saying Mahaprana, if we say Bhadram, it becomes Alpa Prana. So pronouncing every letter correctly, that is called as Akshara Shuddhi. Purity as far as letters are concerned. And another Shuddhi is Swara Shuddhi. Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bhunaktu. The swaras which are there, the lower swara, normal swara, and upper swara. Getting the swaras right, that is called as Swara Shuddhi. Both put together gives Ucharana Shuddhi. Akshara Shuddhi and Swara Shuddhi put together gives purity in pronunciation of Veda mantras. There are more details, but I just took the important ones, that these 2 should be proper while chanting Veda mantras. The Akshara should be right. Alpa Prana, Mahaprana, all of that should be right. Rasva Dirgha should also be right. Rasva means the short pronunciation. Dirgha means the long pronunciation. Sahana Vavatu. Tu is Rasva there. If you prolong it for long, tu will become Dirgha. Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau bhunaktu. So it's a different pronunciation. So Rasva Dirgha and Alpa Prana Mahaprana. Pa, bha, ta, tha. Those things have to be very well pronounced. So that is called as which Shuddhi? Akshara Shuddhi. The swaras which are there, lower swara is called as Anudatta. In between swara is called as Udatta. And the higher swara is called as Swarita. There is some ambiguity in this order. In some places, they say Swarita is the top one, the one that goes up. Whereas in some places, they say Udatta is the top one, Swarita is the in between one. Both are correct. Main thing is we should pronounce it correctly, whatever you call it. Anudatta is the lower swara, Swarita is the normal swara without any marks. Swarita is the top one. And with this, it is said the Veda mantra which is there, even if you don't know the meaning, if it is chanted with Akshara Shuddhi and Swara Shuddhi, that has its own impact. If a group of people are chanting together, same pitch with pure Akshara and Swaras, listening to that gives a lot of joy. Madhuspita Vachaha, Paramam Amrutam Nirmitavata. Shiva Mahimna, it was said, Veda mantras are like honey, provided we chant it properly. Chant in the right Akshara with the right purity and right Swara. We have learned Shanti mantras, right? Dasha Shanti mantras which are there. Like one of them we are chanting here, Bhadram Karne Bihi, Shanno Mitrashyam Maruna. It is said whenever we are having short time and you want to purify a place, the best way to do that is chant the 10 Shanti mantras. So many times, Mahatmajis, when they go to somebody's home, people say, come to our Garbhagruha, come somewhere in the house and please purify it. Now, you can't do Shodashopachara Puja or any puja in that time. The best way to do it is chant those Dasha Shanti mantras. Meaning what? The Veda mantras have that power to bring or invoke a sense of purity. So that Akshara Shuddhi and Swara Shuddhi becomes important. There are examples in Puranas where Veda mantra chanted erroneously with a small mistake in Udatta Anudatta gave completely different result. In Bhagavatam we see Tvashta is doing a yajna so that he can have a son who will become Indra's enemy. So he chants a mantra where it is said, where he will say, Indra Shatror Vardhatsva. Indra Shatror Vardhatsva. Along with the swara he says it. The meaning of that should have been, may Indra's enemy become powerful. Indra's enemy is Vrutrasura. He says Vrutrasura should become powerful. So Tvashta's son was Vrutrasura. He said, may that Vrutrasura become powerful. But because he makes a mistake in that swara, the meaning becomes may Indra become powerful than his enemy. Instead of saying Indra's enemy, it becomes, may Indra become powerful than Vrutrasura. So Indra becomes powerful and he finishes Vrutrasura. Generally, the traditional example is given to show that swara is very, very important. When we chant Rudram, the Nama and Nama, one that comes down, one that goes up, just pay a lot of attention to which one is Anudatta and which one is Swarita. In our Sanskritam class, we had seen for a few sessions regarding Uchcharana Sthana, how the words are pronounced or how words even come out of our mouth. So if you just look at it, Bhagavan has made our system like a flute. Air passes from Muladhara, comes all the way to the throat, Kantha, goes all the way to the top, Murdhani, the crown of the mouth, comes to the tooth, the teeth which are there, then touches the lips and goes out. Based on the different constrictions, wherever it touches, different sounds emerge. So that itself is a science by which they have understood how to get the pronunciation right. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Try saying it without touching your teeth. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. The moment you say it, the tongue will go and touch the teeth. Like that, every letter, there will be a specific formation in the mouth. The position of the tongue, the position of the tooth, position of the lips. If you get that position right, the sound also will be appropriate. Although we do it subconsciously. But if somebody is unable to pronounce a letter, then it is said, get your tongue in that position. For example, Shankaraha Shashti. Shankara Sha and Shashti Sha both are different. Now, how do you pronounce Sha? You see, just say Shankara Sha, but roll your tongue up and say Sha. Try. Roll your tongue up and say Sha. That is the other Sha. One is Talavya, another is Murdhanya. Murdhanya means tongue has touched the Murdha. That is why it becomes Sha. The point is, the pronunciation has a science behind it. How those words are formed and just the constriction of our mouth, that gives the right pronunciation. There is one Ramayana called as Niroshta Ramayana. Niroshta Ramayana means at no point you will have to close your lips. All words are such which doesn't have pa varga. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Moment you say pa varga, you have to close your lips. So without using pa varga, entire Ramayana is composed. There is one raga in music called as Niroshta Raga. Sa, re, ga, ma, dha, ni, sa. No pa. Sa, re, ga, ma, dha, ni, sa. With that, the whole raga is. It is more than just some kind of intellectual skill that they had, to compose such a big Ramayana without using the lips. The subtle meaning could be that Bhagwan's name is so pure. You see, it should not be, the purity should not be brought down by having it touch any part of the mouth. Right from Muladhara, that Shabda should be directly coming out without touching the lips. In one place it is said, how should we do Vedic chanting? Just like a mother tiger, how she holds the baby cub with her teeth, like that we should do Vedic chanting. Means you cannot just let go very easily, but also you have to enjoy it. The pronunciation part, like that mother tiger holding it, if she lets go of that cub, it will fall. If she presses little too hard, it will hurt. Is it like that we should chant Veda mantras? We should enjoy the chanting, but keep our pronunciation, focus on it very diligently. This is the first Vedanga called as Siksha. Siksha means phonetics, how to get pronunciation right. Second Vedanga is called as Kalpa. Siksha represented the nose of Vedas. Kalpa represents the arms of Vedas. If you imagine the Veda to be the main body, the arms of Veda is Kalpa. What does Kalpa do? Kalpa introduces a person into Vedic actions. So naturally, karma is involved, so it represents the hands. What are the different types of rituals which are supposed to be done? Which varnashrama can do which ritual? What a brahmana can do that a kshatriya cannot do? What kshatriya can do that vaishya cannot do? All these details are given in Kalpa. And then there are the 16 samskaras, Shodasha samskara. The details of each samskara is given in Kalpa Granthas. And for every occasion, how to do that ritual? What kind of mantra to chant? What materials are needed? What kind of utensils are needed? All those details are given in Kalpa Granthas. Means when you look at these things, you realize each Vedanga, a person can spend whole life studying that Vedanga. That's why Dve Vidye Veditavye. It is worthy of being known. It has its limitation of not giving us absolute. But in transactional world, it has its own power. The example of Kalpa we find in Kathopanishad. When Nachiketa asks the second boon, Yamacharya gives details of how to arrange the bricks. Ya ishtaka, yavat irva, yathava. Ishtaka means bricks. He says for this Nachiketa yajna that you have asked for, 720 bricks are needed. And there is a specific formation in which those bricks have to be placed. Just like Veda mantras would give result only when pronounced in the right way, rituals give results when they are done in this right way. There are some rituals which cannot be done inside the home. Those have to be done outside only. So result will come only when it is done that way. Everything regarding Vastu Shastra, that is also part of Kalpa Grantha. When a new house is constructed, how to invoke the divine energies into that home, that is part of Kalpa Grantha. It is just like the arrangements, let us say in a school, you will find a particular type of arrangement in different parts of the school. Classroom will have one setup, library will have another setup, laboratory will have another setup. Because according to the function, you need that setup to create the right impact. You don't have too many sitting desks in a laboratory. Most of them are standing. Same setup you cannot have in a classroom. Classroom, everybody has to sit and listen. In the same way, how in a classroom we had different setup to create different impact, every ritual has different setup, so that the impact created by that ritual is effective. So that is the second one called as Kalpa, which is the arms of Veda. Okay, Siksha, Kalpa. Third one is Vyakaranam. Vyakaranam is the mouth of Veda. Vyakaranam is mouth of Veda. What it does is, it tells us whether a pada means a word, whether it is formed correctly or not. If you say Vishnaya Namaha, Vishnaya Namaha, because Ramaha Ramo Ramaha, fourth case becomes Ramaya Namaha. So Vishnu Shabda also, same way he declined. He said Vishnaya Namaha. How will we know that it is Vishnave Namaha, not Vishnaya Namaha? We need some grammar rules, which will tell us which is the right word and which is erroneous way of pronouncing a word. So those rules, wherever it is given, that knowledge is called as Vyakaranam. This is called as mouth of Vedas because it gives the purity of every Shabda. All Shabdas, they are purified through this. There were three great teachers of Vyakaranam. First one was our Panini Maharshi. Panini Maharshi. Second one was Katyayana Rishi, also known as Vararuchi. Vararuchi. And the third one was Patanjali Maharshi. Panini Maharshi, Vararuchi, and Patanjali Maharshi. Vakyakaram Vararuchim, Bhashyakaram Patanjalim, Paninim Sutrakaram Cha, Pranatosmi Munitrayam. These three of them we bow down before starting any Sanskritam class. Panini Maharshi, Vararuchi, and Patanjali Maharshi. The story is interesting between Patanjali Maharshi and Vararuchi. Both of them were colleagues, Panini Maharshi and Vararuchi. They studied with the same guru. His name was Varshopadhyaya in Patliputra in Patna. That time it was very popular, Patliputra, for study and different other scholastic things. Vararuchi was very, very brilliant. He hears anything from the teacher once, he would remember. And on top of that, he would come up with his own things. But our Panini Maharshi, on the other hand, he said even Gayatri Mantra was difficult for him to memorize. So one day he feels very sad, goes to his guru, Varshopadhyaya, and he says, will I be able to learn grammar at this pace? Guru says, show me your hand. And there he sees Vidya Rekha is missing. Vidya Rekha means the line of knowledge. He says, you will learn it, but for that you will have to do tapasya. So he sends him to the forest. He says, you worship Bhagavan Shiva. If his grace is there, mukam karoti vachanam. Any person can become great, ordinary can become extraordinary. So he goes and does a lot of tapasya. And then Bhagavan Shiva appears playing his damaru. He played damaru for his other people who are doing tapasya, Sanakadi Siddhan. The 4 mind-born sons of Brahmaji, they were doing tapasya. To lift them up, he was playing damaru, but our Panini Maharshi also heard it. And from that damaru, the Maheshwara Sutra got revealed to him, and that became the foundation of entire Ashtadhyayi. He composed a lot of grammar rules based on those 14 Maheshwara Sutras. But his other colleague, Vararuchi, he was wondering, how come this ordinary boy suddenly became extraordinary? But he saw his work, Panini Maharshi's work, something divine. But still he was feeling that competition with Panini Maharshi, so he started critiquing his work. Whatever Panini Maharshi assumed that the audience would know, he would go and object. Are you didn't say this thing. You didn't say that thing. In your particular sutra, you missed out on this point. So that became a Vartika. What Vararuchi Maharshi wrote, that by itself became a commentary on Panini Maharshi's Ashtadhyayi. On that is Mahabhashya by Patanjali Maharshi. A more detailed commentary on Ashtadhyayi, on Paniniya Vyakarna, that is Patanjali Maharshi's commentary. The point is, if there is no grammar rule, we would never be able to understand Veda mantras. Because many of Veda mantras, they have Arsha Prayoga. They were in place even before Paniniya Vyakarnam came. So you would never know what is common usage of a word and what is the Arsha Prayoga. Means anybody can say anything and call it as Arsha Prayoga. If you don't have set grammar rules, there will be a lot of chaos as far as the grammar is concerned. So this is the third limb called as Vyakarnam, which is the mouth of Vedas. That which governs words, that is Vyakarnam. Shabdanushāsanam. Anushasana means to govern. Shabda means word. Okay. Governing a word is the part of grammar. What is the fourth one? Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarnam, Niruktam. Niruktam means etymology. etymology that is called as years of Vedas. Years of Vedas. All unique words in Vedas, how to open them up. The way words are made in Sanskritam is also interesting. Huh? It's like a jod tod. Jod tod means you add and separate things. So first you have something called as dhatu, which is the original word. Before that dhatu, you can add a prefix called as upasarga. And after that dhatu, you can add a suffix called as pratyaya. One dhatu, upasarga, pratyaya. Now by changing these three, or changing the previous and the later one, upasarga and pratyaya, with one dhatu, you can get infinite combinations. Different meanings can be derived just with one dhatu. For example, ma is one dhatu, which means to measure. Ma. Now you do something with pratyaya, the upasarga and pratyaya, prefix and suffix, you will get a word called as sammana. Sammana means to praise. You change the prefix suffix, another word becomes apamana. Apamana means to insult. Again, you change the prefix suffix, another word becomes pramana. Pramana is valid means of knowledge. So to take a word and to go back into its components, that is called as Niruktam. There are different dictionaries which help in this. One is Amarakosha. Kalpadruma is another dictionary which will give a lot of etymologies. And with that, you can elaborate the meaning of that word. By knowing the way in which it is formed, you can elaborate the etymology of that word. That is called as Niruktam. Okay. This was the fourth one, right? Niruktam. Fifth one is called as Chandasa. Chandasa means meter. Our rishis, they said, there is a strong connection between smaryata and geyata. Smaryata means the ability to remember, and geyata means ability to sing it. Whatever things we can sing, we can remember it better. Compared to a prose, whatever is composed in a meter, that poetry is easy to remember. The example for this is Goswamiji's Ramcharitmanas. When he composed it, it became so popular that it was spread all over that area. North India became very popular. But imagine at that time, there was no photocopying machine. Even if you had to photocopy a book, if you had to replicate a book, it had to be handwritten again. Means only that book which is very popular will get multiplied, and that to very few copies. But because it was in meter, like Hanuman Chalisa, you start with that, you will end with the last doha. Very easy to remember. Because of this, many Mahatmas, they would compose it in chandas, different meters. We might not be an expert in all of it, but we should develop the art of appreciating all of this. Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarnam, Nirukta, Chandas, Jyotisham. Because it's a different science. Unless you have studied it in detail, we will not get mastery over it. So Chandas, the way to appreciate is look at different meters and look at the name of those meters. For example, one meter's name is Shardula Vikridita Chanda. Shardula means tiger. Vikridita means playing. How a tiger would play, that is the emotion which comes when you chant that Chandas. Example of this Chandas is Dakshinamurti Stotra. Mauna Vyakhya Prakadita Para Brahma Tattvam Yuvana. That is the example of Shardula Vikridita Chanda. Another Chanda, its name is Sragdhara. Srag means water, Dhara means holding the water. Means initially there will be, as a lot of water is held in one place, and you release the dam, how that water gushes out. Like that, words are held in the mouth. And when you chant that Chandas, words gush out like a stream. That is called as Sragdhara. The example of Sragdhara is Shiva Aparada Kshamapana Stotram. Adav Karma Prasangat. That stotram is Sragdhara Chanda. So we can appreciate. Go back to that stotram and just see how it plays. Another Chanda which is very popular is Anushtup Chanda. What we chant in Bhagavad Gita, the Anushtup Chanda which is there. The origin of that is from Valmiki Rishi. It is said Valmiki Rishi was taking a dip in Tamasa river and he sees a hunter shooting an arrow to two birds which were spending time together. It kills one bird. And out of that anger towards the hunter, overpowered by compassion towards the bird, he chants one shloka. That, "O hunter, whatever you have done is very wrong. You killed that crowncha bird. Because of that, you will not get pratishtha. You will not get solace in all three worlds at all times." But he composes in such a way that if you look at it differently, some of the meanings, if you just look at it differently, that shloka is actually praising Bhagavan Rama. And that hunter actually is Ravana. So he says, "O Ravana, no, Bhagavan Rama, you are the one who will get praise in all three worlds because you have finished this Ravana who was so heartless." In that way, the meaning goes. So then Brahmaji comes and gives him a blessing. He says, "You compose Valmiki Ramayana. Tell the stories of Bhagavan Rama. In that same Chanda, you compose it." So Anushtup Chanda, the origin is from Valmiki Rishi. And he composes whole Ramayana. The beauty is, these Chandas, they have certain rules on how each letter in that word should be. If you miss one letter, while chanting, you will feel something is off. Meaning what? Even if you want to use one word, if it doesn't fit the Chandas, you have to use an alternate word. That's why the words might be moved around in the shloka. Some padapurti, to complete the Chandas, some other words might be used. Cha, vai, tu, hi. These four letters, they can be used to complete some missing part of a pada. You cannot compose a line with just four. Huh? Chavai tuhi, chavai tuhi. So you cannot use only those. They can be used to complete a particular shloka. When I was reading more about this, one Mahatmaji, he said, these compositions which come to great rishis, or even our great acharyas who have done it, he said they don't mentally calculate the chandas. They don't mentally calculate this is Guru, this is Laghu, and then try to do it. He says for them, it's a revelation. The appropriate word will get revealed to them. With that, they can effortlessly compose these shlokas. Otherwise, it looks very, difficult for a human being to compose 18,000 verses, 24,000 verses. If you sit down for every verse looking at Guru Laghu and find the appropriate word, find the alternate word, he says those are revelations from the Lord. The right word will come, right chandas will get formed. One definition I liked about chandas is, it's a measurement for expressing thoughts. Whatever thoughts are there, if you want to express it very well, This chandas will put some measurement. Just like if you are stitching some coat or something, if you don't give measurement, they say you stitch whatever you want. Either it will be big or it will be small. Like that, when we are expressing thoughts, if we don't have measurement, we might say it more than what we need to say. So chandas is that measurement. Just like you have talam for music, like that this is for shloka. The appropriate beats have to be maintained. So chanda is for shloka, just like talam is for any song or music. The last one is Jyotisha. Niruktam Chanda Jyotisha. Jyotisha, what was the chandas representing? Feet of the Veda Purusha. Chandas was representing the feet. We do Pada Puja of the teacher, right? So Pada means feet. What is 1/4 of a shloka called as? Pada. So that is one similarity because of which chandas is called as the feet. The last one is Jyotisha, astrology, which is the eyes of Vedas. Astrology is the eye of Veda. It is said different planetary positions, they are all interconnected. In fact, this whole universe is interconnected. The way to systematically understand this interconnectedness is through planetary positions. So that is a science by itself, where it tells the main purpose of Jyotisha is to tell what is the right time to do a ritual. Their main goal is, when we do a ritual, how will that ritual be most effective? So to calculate the right time for it is a main part of Jyotish Shastra. Secondarily, it can also predict on a broader scale how will prarabdha unfold for an individual. Over a period of time, what are the major events that are going to happen, again based on planetary positions. The main technique involved here is mathematics. That's why Jyotisha and Ganita Shastra, they go together. If you have to calculate so many things, that is how they developed that Shastra. So with this, all the Apara Vidya topics we saw. Vedangas. Anytime this word comes, Vedangas, all these words in the mantra should become very familiar with us. Siksha, Kalpo, Vyakarnam, Niruktam, Chando, Jyotishamiti. These 6 things put together are called as Vedangas. Now, what is Para Vidya? See, as far as Apara Vidya was concerned, different names were given. Siksha, Kalpa, Vyakarnam. For Para Vidya, the job of Para Vidya is given. The role of Para Vidya is given. Another name is not given. What is that? Atha Para, look at the mantra, last part of the mantra. Atha Para Yaya Tat Aksharam Adhigamyate. Now we are going to elaborate what is Para Vidya. Para Vidya is that by which knowledge of Akshara Tattva takes place. Knowledge of that supreme consciousness, call it Akshara, call it Brahman, call it Sakshi. That knowledge by which abidance in the self takes place, that knowledge is called as Para Vidya. It means Para Vidya is referring to Prama. Prama means knowledge. How did that knowledge take place? Through Brahmakara Vritti. That knowledge of Akshara Tattva took place through Brahmakara Vritti. That knowledge is called as Para Vidya. That knowledge is called as Para Vidya. There are some questions in Bhashya based on this. First, Poorva Pakshi, he says, why did you say Adhigamaha? Yaya tat aksharam adhigamyate. Adhigama means to go somewhere and attain something. Attainment of something which is somewhere, that is called as adhigama. Shankaracharya clarifies, here there is no going somewhere and getting something. Knowing itself is getting that thing. Adhigama, knowing itself is gaining that thing. Why is that? Because that thing is already attained. Akshara Tattva, we don't have to go somewhere and find it. Akshara Tattva is our essential nature. We are ignorant about this fact that my nature is Akshara. I think of myself to be this body and mind. Removing this ignorance is all that Para Vidya will do. Para Vidya will not help us attain Akshara. Because Akshara is already attained. We don't have to go somewhere and attain it. It will remove this erroneous idea that Akshara is unattained. It will shift attention away from Anatma to that Atma which is already attained. If you take the example, it will become clearer. The Swakanta Bharanam, the necklace which is, a person thinks it is lost. What will that statement of his friend do to him? It will not help him attain any new necklace. That necklace which was already there, which he thought was lost, that will be attained. Like that Atma which is ever present, but we think it is not available. Attention is somewhere else. That Atma will be understood by that statement, by that Vidya. Every example has a purpose. This Swakanta Bharanam example is for that. Necklace is already attained. That word just helped us shift attention to it. Another traditional example is a 10th man example. Dashamaha Tvamasi. That is a Mahavakya. You are the 10th man. Now, did he get a new 10th man after that statement? Or did 10th man really become alive from somewhere and come and join their team? No. He was already there. But his attention was not on that 10th man. Attention was not on himself. So attainment here is not going somewhere and getting it. Attainment is in the form of knowing. Knowing itself is attaining. So whatever we see in the example, we have to apply the same thing in Atma. Attaining Atma means knowing Atma. Tasya smritihi tatra drudaiva nishtha. Abidance in the self is remembering the self. This is who I am. This is my essential nature. Okay, that is one Poorva Pakshi. Second Poorva Pakshi is, he said, just repeat it again. What did you just say? There are two Vidyas. One is called as Para Vidya. Another is called as Apara Vidya. Then you started elaborating Apara Vidya. In that Apara Vidya, you included 4 Vedas also. That is okay. Then what did you say? Para Vidya is that which leads you to Brahman, which leads you to Akshara Tattva. You say, why did you include, or why did you have Apara Vidya separate from Vedas? You had your Vedas listed in Apara Vidya. Then you separated Para Vidya different from Vedas. Why did you separate Para Vidya different from Vedas? This point is clear, right? Para Vidya is that which leads us to Akshara. He said you separated it from Vedas, you put Vedas in Apara Vidya. If you do that, this Para Vidya, higher knowledge which you are talking about, will become Veda Bahya. It will be outside of Vedas. Whatever is Veda Bahya cannot be Moksha Sadhana. It cannot lead us to liberation. It will be just another person's opinion. If it is outside of Veda, it will not be a Paurushaya anymore. It is not revelation to a Rishi. It is just somebody's thought. And such kind of thoughts cannot become our support, cannot lead us to moksha. And he says if something is Veda Bahya, the perspective given by that thing is not the right vision. Kudrushti it will give. Not Sudrushti, Kudrushti, it will not lead us well. And if you walk that path, the result will be Nishphala. You will not get any good result. He said these are the problems which will come if you say it is Veda Bahya. He says by saying it is Veda Bahya, can we even make it as our Varnam? Varnam means my choice. Something which is Veda Bahya. If you say Para Vidya is Veda Bahya, can I go and say, I want this Para Vidya? He says, I won't be able to say. Means he says, whatever is Veda Bahya, I'm not interested in it. If you say, no, Para Vidya is part of Veda, then why did you make the distinction? Why did you make the distinction? Atha para yaya tadaksharam adhigamyate. Now we are going to talk about Para Vidya. This is where Shankaracharya clarifies what is meant by Apara Vidya is the Shabda Rashi. The words of Vedas, they are included in Shabda Rashi, which is part of Apara Vidya, lower knowledge. Upanishad mantra, because the Poorva Pakshi said, if you say Para Vidya is different from Veda, Upanishad also will become Veda Bahya. Bahya means out. Upanishad also will become out of Vedas. This is where are we going with this? So Bhagavan says, including the words of Upanishads, the Shabda is part of Apara Vidya. There is a Prama which is created by Brahmakara Vritti. That Prama is Paravidya. Words by themselves are not Paravidya. The knowledge created by those words, that is Paravidya. Means if somebody listens to Vedanta, they know or they hear somewhere, I am Brahman. But there are a lot of doubts. And erroneous notions are also there. So that Samshaya and Viparya, if knowledge is covered by these things, that will be still counted as Aparavidya. What is Paravidya? When all doubts are gone and there is abidance in this fact that I am that consciousness. How do we know whether this knowledge has taken place or not? What is the litmus test of knowledge? Shankaracharya said in Dhanyashtakam, whenever mind becomes quietened and it doesn't run after Vishayas. He said that is one indicator. Tadjnanam prashamakaram yadindriyan. That is a true test. But if you want to think about this knowledge and see whether there are doubts or I have to think more about this, whatever is part of Tatpada, apply it on Tvampada. And then you see whether mind resists that statement or not. For example, this whole universe is appearing in Brahman. This whole universe is appearing in Brahman. This is Tatpada. Brahman is some consciousness in which universe is appearing. Mahavakya says, that Brahman I am. Tat Brahma Tvamasi. So how will that statement be now? Whole universe is appearing in me. If there is any resistance to this statement, that means in I, in Aham, some upadhi is getting added. I'm still identifying with body or mind or ahankara and trying to see how can whole universe appear in me. I am part of universe. What is part of universe? Body is part of universe. Right? This whole universe has emerged from Brahman. It is sustained in Brahman. It will dissolve in Brahman. Mahavakya says, that Brahman you are. So how should I make that statement? This whole universe has emerged from me. It is sustained in me. It will dissolve in me. If I can comfortably make this statement and not have any doubts, and at no point feel otherwise, Viparit Bhavana is also not there. Samshayas are not there. Samshaya means doubt. Viparit Bhavana means erroneous notions, lingering erroneous notions. Then it is called as Paravidya. That knowledge which has led us to Akshara Tattva, that knowledge is called as Paravidya. I might use several words. I might say Brahman, Atman, Mahavakya, explain Mahavakya. But unless that Prama takes place, unless the knowledge takes place, and Samsara Nivritti happens, he says we cannot call it as Paravidya. Until that point, it is one word for another word. This we had seen in Saddarshanam also. Children, when they learn a language, many times they learn words first. They might not know what that word is referring to. Mother or teacher asks, show me nose. He starts defining nose. Or what is nose? If he asks, teacher asks, he starts defining it. Nose is that which is in between both the eyes. Nose is that which is below the forehead. Nose is that with which we breathe. All of that is good, but unless he takes his hand and says, this is nose, it is not guaranteed that he has understood what it means. So Shabda is one thing, Shabda Artha is another thing. What that word indicates, that is another. So Shabda is part of Apara Vidya, whereas the Shabdartha, what is indicated by that Shabda is part of Paravidya. Another example was water. Water is only Shabda. You can say it in different languages. You can say Neera, you can say Tanni, Pani. But just by saying that word, it is not guaranteed that we have understood what is the object. That word will not quench my thirst. I have to get that water and drink it. Like that, the Mahavakyas and all Upanishad mantras, the Shabda Rashi is part of Apara Vidya. The knowledge created by them is what will give liberation. Even if you take that necklace example, 10th man example, if that person keeps repeating, necklace is like this, necklace is like that, I don't have to cry because necklace is not lost. But does not know that this is the necklace. It is right here. He says, I'm not crying because the person who is telling is my friend. He's my well-wisher. Because he has told, I'm not crying. He says, that's okay. But real knowledge is until we have shifted attention to the necklace. Same with the 10th man. He said, 10th man is not lost, 10th man is not lost. Unless he knows, I am the 10th man, the journey is not complete. Okay. This is Paravidya, which will lead us to abidance in the self. All points in Bhashya we have seen. Next session we'll just go through the Bhashya and reflect a little more. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.